Hello, everyone. Tonight, I'm very happy to welcome a great actress, Brazilian American, and she has been working on several new projects on film and television. And tonight, we will have a talk with her. Let us welcome Sofia Masson. How are you, Sofia?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
Ah, Tutto bem?
Tudo ótimo. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I am quite curious before we talk about your recent releases to know a little bit about your background and how you started to be interested in becoming an actress later on in your life.
Yeah, well, I would say, it started pretty young. I was always performing as a child. I mean, even if I was doing small skits or scenes with my sister, with older sister, who's also an actress, with Barbie dolls playing in the living room. I mean, we were always lost in fantasy and in storytelling. But I started acting, I guess, when I was a child, performing on stage. I grew up, so I was born in New York. It's where I'm from originally, but I lived in Europe for a few years in Berlin, Germany, and I started performing on stage, doing small plays. And then we moved sort of all around, and then I moved to Miami, Florida, where I was involved in the Miami Children's Theater, and that's really where I started doing musical theater and performing on stage. And I guess that's where the theater kid in me really began, and I caught the theater bug there. Then I moved back to New York, and that's really where I started to hone my skills. Singing, dancing, acting. I danced at the Alvin Ailey pre-professionally in New York. And then all of that I brought then to my theater degree at university in Montreal at McGill, where I studied theater and I minored in world cinema. And that was really, it was in college where I actually started to play with the camera. And I started jumping in front of and behind the camera. And that's really where my love for film began. And then I moved to Los Angeles, where I live now.
Very. Um, I want to know what were your first tips, to professional roles in film and television once you started to move to LA, because I've been there several times in Miami as well and New York, and it's very competitive for not only for Americans but also for non-Americans who are very talented and travel to New York or Los Angeles or Miami to seek modeling or acting or filmmaking jobs. So tell me a little bit about your trajectory once you landed in California.
I landed in California a month before COVID hit. So the timing
Okay,
was
lucky you,
perfect.
lucky you.
I know. It was a really interesting time. I mean, I moving to a new city, especially like Los Angeles, is intimidating. I didn't know anybody or anything, so I started from scratch. And then I moved out here, and then a global pandemic shut everything down. But that didn't stop me. I stayed in acting class on Zoom. I made friends in ways that I could, a lot of which started as virtual relationships. But I used the time to really focus on my skills as an actor. And what's beautiful is that the virtual classes were a great use of my time. And because I knew the world was going to open up, it was just a matter of time. And I really used that time to focus. And eventually, slowly things started filming again. I filmed a project in 2020, which was really exciting to finally be on a set again and be around people after, months of quarantining. But I think I never for a second doubted that moving to Los Angeles was the right decision. It definitely wasn't easy, but I wanted to leave New York because I had lived in New York and that was comfortable. And I really wanted to try something new with the pressure. And I think the pressure of a new city, a new industry, everything is basically a fresh slate. And there is something very exhilarating and exciting about that. And I think that's also what motivated me to really work hard and focus, was because I had no other option. I didn't want to go back home, and COVID didn't bring me back home. And to this day, I'm here, and I'm really grateful for that time to focus on my work and to get my ducks in a row. So then when the world did open, I got representation. I started working I had a great acting community of friends that who are my friends to this day. But I think those were really foundation. That was a very foundational time for me to create the life that I would then have once the world opened up again.
Yes. I remember during COVID, I started to do as well interviews on YouTube because my background is writing. Even I write for other presenters in my days in television. I interviewed many actors and actresses and also singers who did concerts during COVID at their home, at their backyard,
Mhm.
during this year of
Yeah.
COVID. And as well,
That was
I
a
know
very
that
innovative.
yeah, many talents as well started to work on. A lot of casting took place on Zoom, on Instagram. Until things started to go back to normal. And I've seen, in the last let's say 4 years, right after COVID, you started to do a lot of short films like The Thrill and The Mysterious Marcus Brady. So
Mhm.
tell me a little bit about short films. According to you, did they help you to be nominated for feature length film when you started to appear here and there?
Yeah, absolutely. I think everything that I learned on the short film sets, I feel like I was really able to bring a lot of that knowledge. I mean, you bring everything you experience on set naturally you bring to your next job, whether that's understanding the workflow of how a set works, understanding the language used. I was always super curious about what was happening on set, and the best experiences and the most educational experiences I've had have always been on a film set. And so working on those short films, I feel were really wonderful building blocks as an actress, but also as a producer, which is something that I'm starting to do alongside my acting career. And I
Hmm.
just produced a short film that premiered at the Beverly Hills Film Festival this year. And that was a really amazing experience, just learning about how the producing side of things go, which is something that
Hmm.
I will continue to do alongside my acting career. But I think absolutely. I mean, the community that I built from working on short films in Los Angeles, those are my collaborators to this day. And a lot of it is, building your community, building your network of people. And I've worked with them again. So now I would say I've graduated to the feature film length. Not that that by any means makes the short film any less of a, valuable, piece of art, but I definitely would say that those short films that I did were challenging because typically with you're working within time constraints, financial constraints, but
Hmm. Hmm.
those experiences really helped me to now in the feature film space. You're also still working under constraints, time constraints, financial constraints. So it was
Yes.
really, I'm really grateful for those early days in working in short films, and I'm even considering perhaps writing a short film of my own and producing it soon. I actually have a couple of things I've been playing with, but yeah, I definitely am grateful for those opportunities for sure, and I look
Yeah,
back
yeah.
at them very fondly.
Yes, I think because as well, yeah, like you told me right now, because you lived in Europe and in different states, and you come from different culture, and your studies as well in international cinema. I think this will make your like to express certain ideas your own way as well, and it's quite good that you think about producing and writing at this early stage of your career because. A lot of stars, they think about that after 20 or 30 years, in their careers.
Yeah. Well, I think
Mhm.
the advice that I've been given is that create your own opportunities, right? And I'm starting to do that and get behind stories that I'm enthusiastic about. And naturally, I feel like my producer brain and my actor brain are very much intertwined. It's hard to keep them separate, but they do inform one another, and I think they also make me better at each role. And speaking about, an international experience, my very first feature film that I did was in 2016, and I worked as the assistant to the assistant to the assistant costumer. And that was a super educational experience, just understanding how a set worked and continuity and, you know, asking questions to every department and trying to just educate myself as much as I could. And I've carried that with me to this day. I mean, it's an etiquette thing, understanding that every department is super important. It's really a team effort to make a movie happen. And that's also like what I love about it, is just the collaborative nature of filmmaking. That's what draws me to it. And so, yeah, I definitely love, I love my job, and it's not for the faint of heart, for sure. But I'm definitely aiming to bring my global perspective to my work. I'm developing a project right now about my Brazilian heritage, and it's something I'm very excited about. I went back to Brazil this year to celebrate my grandmother's 80th birthday, and I felt a deep connection to Brazil. I speak the language fluently as well, and so wanting to really embrace that side of my identity through my work as an actress and as a producer. So that's something that's in the very early stages, and can't talk too much about it, but my global perspective leads through all my work.
Yes, very nice. I want to ask a little bit, about your role in Waltzing with Brando, because since
Yeah.
I started to read about this film and saw the trailer, Marlon Brando has a great effect on many generation. Myself, I was maybe 6 or 7 years old when I first saw Superman. It was my first Marlon Brando film, and my uncle took me to see it, and he explained to me that Marlon Brando is a great actor and he's like a co-starring role here. And bit by bit, he started to talk to me about On the Waterfront. And then Godfather came on Egyptian television. Then I started to look for a copy to see Godfather 2 before Godfather 3 come up. Because we have this love for Brando and Al Pacino and Robert De Niro in the Middle East and Egypt as well, and Billy Zane as well. He has a big impact as well when he co-starred in Titanic, and then he did The Phantom as well. I think it was a good superhero film. I saw it when it was new as well, and he did a lot of roles. So tell me about being cast in this film and your character.
So I'm so excited to share Waltzing with Brando with the world. That's actually I've been sitting on it for a while, and I'm so excited that it's finally going to be released. But
Yes.
I can't talk too much about it before obviously it's officially out in the world. But what I will say is that I did a recreation scene with Billy Zane, who plays Marlon Brando in the film. We did a recreation of a scene from The Last Tango in Paris. And I play Maria Schneider in the movie. And I don't know if you're familiar with the film, but it was a very it's an iconic movie, and so I felt
I saw it. I saw the movie. It was not screened in Egypt, by the way. I saw it, I think, on either cable or on satellite, because we receive European satellite in Egypt. And of course, I met Bernardo Bertolucci in Rome when Rome Film Festival started. So I'm familiar with the film because in our work we read a lot and hear a lot about classic films. But it's very nice because Maria Schneider in this film, I remember it faced a lot of challenges doing the film. Yeah.
And I felt a tremendous responsibility to her, to just how iconic the movie is, and just to Marlon Brando as well. And that, I mean, it's just there's a very specific, especially when you're doing a recreation scene, there's a specificity you need to really get when it comes to the physicality, the voice, the accent. And she's French German. And so I had to really, luckily with my language skills as a French speaker, I was able to really get the sound in my ear. And I watched the scene that we recreated thousands and thousands of times just to make sure that I got it right, because I found it very daunting. I was like, wow, this is a very iconic scene, and I'm going to be doing it with Billy Zane. And so between studying the scene, studying the voice, really down to the absolute most detail, the rest of the magic really happened on the day, with Billy, who's just such an incredible, not only an incredible actor, but such a great person, and made me feel so comfortable and so safe that day because I was nervous out of my mind. And he's still a dear friend of mine to this day, and I'm so excited for the world to see him shine as Brando, because he's really fantastic in this movie, and our scene is really special. It's like cute, and it's a very special moment in the movie, and I'm very proud of it, and I'm also excited for the world to see it. But I was initially quite nervous going in. Yeah,
Of course. I think the movie will release soon because it won several awards in some festivals, and right now it's the time, the fall is coming, and it is the time of Oscars and Golden Globes, etc. So I hope the film get a lot of awards, and some for you as well. And I want to tell you that something I remember, that Last Tango in Paris, it was like spoofed as a comedy film in Italy in 1973. It was, there was a famous comic in Italy called Franco Franchi, and he did a spoof of Last Tango in Paris called Ultimo Tango a Zagarol.
Okay.
So
this is quite different than that. But the movie,
yes,
Waltzing with Brando, brings levity, but it also it brings a side of Marlon Brando to light that not a lot of people knew about, which was how he was such an environmentalist and an activist. Because people know Marlon Brando as one of the greatest actors of all time, and so I think it's a really new and fresh and exciting perspective.
For sure. Yes. Brando had a relationship with Martin Luther King, and I've seen on YouTube some of his interviews in the '60s, and when he was just did on the waterfront, and started to be, running to stardom at the end. But I want to ask you about other releases you did as well. Recently, you had several releases like On the Run and Fatal Exposure. So tell me a little bit about your character. I think they are some rebellion teen drama, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes.
On the Run was a really fun project. I shot that in New Mexico. That's streaming on Tubi. Fatal Exposure is also streaming on Tubi. Those are such different characters from one another, but I shot them back to back. On the Run is like a gritty action thriller about a family and witness protection. I play this very reserved, scholarly teenager who ends up saving her sister from a dangerous man who's pursuing them, and she's very much a badass, which I really liked. It was very stunt heavy. We're dealing with weapons, with guns, and it was a really amazing challenge. Being out in the desert in the dust was really great, like immersive environment to be in. And the same thing when I was shot Fatal Exposure, we shot pretty much like 90% of the film in this mansion, which was basically like a character in itself for the film. This sort of like trapping sensation. Fatal Exposure was an erotic thriller about a young woman who gets wound up in this crazy sort of mysterious household where people start dying, and I fall in love with a woman, and we join forces to survive. Very different from On the Run, but what I will say is that they were both wonderful experiences in their own way for very physically and emotionally demanding roles, shot within 3 weeks, so fast shoots. But they were both very challenging in their own way, but I love pushing myself on a physical level too. I get very physically invested in my characters. That's sort of part of my process, at least towards the end of my work, is I try to really understand how they embody space, what they wear, how they walk in their shoes. I kind of start from the inside and build out, and those were drastically different characters in The Run and Fatal Exposure, respectively, but challenging in their own ways.
Great. ¿Y al fin te gusta mandar un mensaje a su familia, sus amigos en Brasil?
Oh, you want me to say? friends in Brazil. Obrigada, Dudu. Tô mandando muito amor e beijos e abraços para você. E eu preciso voltar para Brasil logo. E beijão.
Beijo. Okay. Excellent. Sophia, I want to thank you very much for this great, lovely interview. I wish you all the best in your career as an actress and also in your writing and producing future projects as well.
Thank you.
And I hope when Waltzing with Brando comes up, you can come back again. We can talk about it more. I think it will get more attention during the upcoming weeks, and I think I look forward to see it when it's come up in cinemas here or on digital, releases soon.
Absolutely. It'll be out in theaters nationwide in the US on the 19th.
Very good. We are. It's 11 days from now, right?
Exactly.
In September.
We're almost
This is
there.
great. Okay. Yes. Okay. I wish you all the best, and
Thank you so much.
you're welcome. And muito obrigado para a entrevista.
Obrigada você.
And I look forward to receive you again when you have a new project to promote. Thank you very much.
Till next time.
Ciao. Bye bye.